We're live today on the Metal Lab. Once again, finally joined by multiple people, so you can get little icons while we talk throughout the show today. I am joined this week by the beautiful Mr. Tom Kerr.
Good evening.
Or at least a mirror dimension version of him. Check out that beard. Check it out. And young Mr. J. Solomon, also sporting beard today.
Hi.
Yep. Only in Canada do we all grow beards for the summer.
Speaking of the upcoming fall, which will lead to the winter.
Yeah, we're getting a leg up.
I'm very rarely without it, as it is the only piece of hair above my neck that I do maintain. Below my neck, I'm sure you can see in this tank top, there's plenty to go around.
And go around it does.
Oh, boy, does it ever go around. So we got a busy week, but of course, we got to talk about our week in Heroclix. So, Tom, how was your week in Heroclix this week?
Oh, there was none. But I thought about it occasionally. I worked a lot. And I had good times up at York building a stage, which was great fun. But it wasn't very Heroclixy, so I'll leave that talk to my follow-up podcast, Building Stages with Tom Kerr. How about you, Jay? What was your week in Heroclix like?
On Thursday, 401 had a 600-point golden bring the cheese event. I think literally the only restriction was no BFCs because those things are dumb. I ended up bringing a cacophony of just the meta. Like, what was it? I had Arcade Lydia in case of batteries, Krang Justin, all sorts of nonsense. Oh, Mixie with Blind Owl because you don't need Frogman for Golden Age.
True.
So it was just the cheesiest of cheese. Unfortunately, it ended up being that other people did not bring as cheesy cheese as I did, and I ended up, I guess I'll say, dominating because it wasn't really even close. Like, I brought Lydia expecting resources, but there were really none. So that was a type of fun, I suppose you could say. I had a very close game against Devin, who was running Dark Phoenix Cyclops, and Hope Summers to copy his awesome 7 damage pulse wave power. That was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's neat. Neat concept,
Devin. Yeah. And then we had... So I ran 401 yesterday because Mike is out of town. I ended up, because we have the new set coming out and the new rulebook, I felt like running the usual 300 Modern was basically pointless because by the time I get to the Canada Cup, it'll be an entirely different game. So I figured let's do something a little different, and I noticed that since the Rock World Cup semifinals were 400 limited, we would run that. So I brought Goblin King at 75, Shredder Clone without Resurrection, Mixie, Frogman, and the common Elseworlds Green Lantern who lets you taxi after action. I also had Peggy and another small character that I can't remember who did stuff. Whatever they were, they did stuff. It was a 7-figure team. I can't remember.
So it was Lydia. No, I'm going to get the joke wrong. What was the girl who knows stuff?
Oh, Layla Miller.
That's it.
Yeah.
Good one, Tom. Timing.
You lacked the X factor for that joke.
Phoebe.
That reminds. Oh, it was I remember the last figure, which was a Ha Joker at 30 points. I've been playing him with Proteus so much, I had to remind myself that he didn't have +1s the whole game. So I ended up getting taken to buy the first round. Then I played against a local Diego who was running a Sinister Syndicate team with a Doc Ock, but not the good Doc Ock, the super rare from Superior Foes.
Fair. To be fair, it's still a pretty
bad,
good piece. But
yeah.
That the other version is. So that was basically a case of he really didn't bring meta versus me, so that went the way you'd think. And then I played against Glenn, who was running the super rare Superman from World's Finest, the 200-point one who can't be countered, whatever.
Yep, he likes that piece.
Mixie Anarchy, which he had modded into Bart Simpson, which was amazing.
I like the idea.
Yeah, something else that I can't remember. And a symbiote or something. That was much more back and forth. I basically threw Ha Joker out to let some bombs hit him, so I put him in the radius of 3. 2 of them work, so he ended up actually taking a token off right at the beginning of the game, basically. But he's just the best person to just eat those bombs up. And then basically he targeted Peggy because she can shut off powers even though Superman couldn't be outwitted, which was smart on his end. I ended up doing a Mixie Pulse Wave right away. Because Shredder Clone has leadership, so I can burn any dice that I don't want. So I just keep on taking dice until I have a 5 or 6 saved up for the Green Lantern. So I'm guaranteed the action after Taxi. So I basically can have Mixie move up and Pulse Wave, or worst case scenario, pick TK with Goblin King.
That's cool.
So that went back and forth a little bit. I think it ended up being his Superman versus a bunch of my smaller characters. I feel like Green Oracle, who I churned into from the Green Lantern, ended up taking the final blow. So this was a small person tournament, so I ended up winning that one as well, and had a lot of fun. A lot of different stuff was seen. Devin played a mystical team with some cool stuff, and it was a good time. And that was about it.
What about you, Jason?
Well, myself, I judged Invisible Jet event at the Comic Warehouse on Saturday. And
unfortunately, you couldn't find the place.
Oddly enough, ended up pulling a couple packs and getting a Chase Super Rare. The guy who won, and it was a sealed. What else sealed? Elseworld sealed. What else? Elseworld sealed. And only 6 people showed up. It's that time of summer where people are starting to, start getting ramped up to go back to school. When we get back into the regular flow of things around September, we're probably going to expect a regular season of people. But it came to a weird thing where we actually had the top 3 were all 2-1s. We had no undefeated players. So it literally came down to the top 2-1. And there's a difference in first and second place of 10 points. And the winner was Rory from Hamilton, who also
I like Rory.
His team was highlighted by a Dale Suderman.
Sorry, I shouldn't swear, but Rory. The thing is that, this is classic Rory. Rory is one of the locals who can find a way to beat you with a team that consists of 4 shield recruits. You're like, that's your team? It's like, oh yeah. And then 45 minutes later, you're like, how did I lose to 4 shield recruits? That
was like when we played in we ended up playing a sealed for TMNT, and I had pulled a Krang and a Monster X. So pretty good team if you ask me.
I would argue.
With a swarm of foot soldiers and shredders, he managed to kill me, and it was just a bloody nightmare. And I looked at it and I said, I played that as right as I could, but the numbers game just got me.
Yeah, dude knows how to win matches. It's a shame or actually, it's a good thing that he judges most of the time.
Yeah, he did fairly well in the competitive tournaments that he has played with. So he does have an on button, and he's fairly good at the game of Heroclix. So kudos to you, Mr. Rory. I have myself my Judge Invisible Jet, which I can't wait to take a look at and probably never use like I have with the Boxing Wing, because I can because I can never seem to build teams that work with those things. I just want to make my teams work. Either way, there's a lot more to talk about as far as figures, so I'm going to stop talking about the Invisible Jet. I'm going to get rid of my face because it's time for a ton of previews. Now, I don't know if you guys heard, but on August 30th, 2 sets are coming out. We have the Undead set and the Mighty Thor. And Heroclix or WizKids has seen it to be seems to be raining previews on us. They're raining little men, as it were. So without further ado, let's start with some of our Undead previews. A little bit of the Ghost of Christmas Past, not actually the Ghost of Christmas Past, but you kind of get the joke here with Jacob Marley. Jacob Marley has a Ghost. What's that?
More recent Christmas Past.
More recent Christmas Past, yeah. Ebenezer Scrooge's old friend, Jacob Marley. He's got the Ghost Realm and monster keywords. Oddly enough, his real name is Jacob Marley. For purposes of movement, he ignores blocking terrain and ignores characters. It's noted that the blocking terrain, because he flies, is going to help him on the indoor portion of things. He's got a trait, Ghostly Form. Can only carry other characters with the Ghost Realm keyword, regardless of their speed symbols. Interesting. So it remains to be seen how many more Ghost Realm characters we get in this particularly small set, but it's a start. And who knows how many undead sets we're going to get. This is probably going to sell gangbusters with the amount of generics it has. Next up, he's got this Ghastly Chill special movement power on all 3 of his clicks on his 35-point dial. It is free. Note, this is all part of the new wording, so pay very close attention when I say free, which is a free action. Choose an opposing character that Jacob Marley moved through this turn. Unique modifier, the chosen character modifies its attack by -2 until your next turn. After resolutions, you and the opposing character's owner each roll 2d6. If your result is higher, deal that character 1 penetrating damage and heal Jacob Marley 1 click. He's got the Snowfall team ability, which they kindly note here is wild card. 18 defense on his first 2 clicks, was 17 on his last. He's got exploit weakness on the last 2 clicks. He starts with incapacitate, and he's got super senses on all 3 of those clicks. Tom, what do you think of the ghostly Jacob Marley?
He's bloody incredible, and I love him. At 35 points, I mean, a 35-point wild card who is as well defended as he is with his 18D super senses, even with just without anything else would be good for me. But the fact that he can go anywhere he wants, is never being held down, that he can just go through people and completely nerf their attack. I mean, not completely, but very largely nerf their attack for the mere act of having gone through them. Potentially also deal them penetrating damage for free while healing himself. But that's gravy as far as I'm concerned. But it's good gravy. And otherwise, he's just a really good piece. I mean, honestly, for 35 points, I don't know what more you could ask for. These are the days of fantastic low point pieces like this. We've seen lots of Colossal Retaliators in and around this price range. Then I would be just as happy to get Jacob Marley as any of them. Get a little bit more longevity, and I just love the fact that he's so aggravating and forces your opponent to care about a 35-point piece, which may very well be copying Mystics, making it hard to, or making you not want to hit him, copying Batman Ally, making him hard to target. Copying any number of different things, or for that matter, just copying like Avengers or Justice League. Get your swarm team together, and this guy, without even counting towards your action tokens, can move through people and then crank down their attack and potentially deal them damage. So I think he's great. I really think that he's very good, and I want to get him.
Absolutely. Jay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I can't really top anything that Tom had to say, especially considering how cheap he is, and he's not even unique. So sure, run 2 of them on your. What are his keywords again? Ghost Realm. And what was the other one?
Ghost Realm and Monster.
Good keyword.
Yeah, it's gonna be better when you see what.
I don't think there's Avengers or Justice League there, but he might be just worth breaking theme over, so you can get that wild card. So you can do some stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's
I wouldn't break theme for him, but if you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that he is a very good 35-point character. And we enter into the next character, who is a monster and scientist. This is Dr. Frankenstein. Real name, Victor Frankenstein. Frankenstein. His trait, it's alive! Support as free, but only to target friendly characters with the monster keyword. I wonder if anything in this set's going to have that. When Dr. Frankenstein uses it, increase the D6 result by 1. As well, he's got a special damage power on all 3 clicks, perplex, but only to target characters with the monster keyword. If his target is named Frankenstein's monster, Dr. Frankenstein can modify a combat value by +2 or -2 instead. He's also got sidestep and some willpower with 6 range, oddly enough. He comes in at 30 points. Jay, what do you think of Dr. Frankenstein?
I like what's there, but the only problem is that the best monster in the game just got nerfed. So you're not going to be running him with a monster team and Goblin King anytime soon. But even so, after looking up the monsters that are available, like the ever annoying Venom Pool, I think he could see some play. Just for the points, just if he did either one of those things between the trait and the special power, that'd be worth it. To do both is just incredible. Support getting even better, arguably, with new rules, considering that you'll be able to up his attack, if I recall correctly. So it's a 10. I might be remembering wrong.
No, you're probably right.
It's been a while, but if I recall correctly, yeah, totally worth playing if you can play with a good monster.
Well, wait a second. Wouldn't he be able to up him, because he can do it to himself, so he can up himself to an 11?
Yeah.
Can he?
Well, no, he has to be targeting Frankenstein's monster for the 2.
Oh, I thought it was Frankenstein's monster, Dr. Frankenstein. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a moron.
So yeah, he is quite good, and with the right pieces, like I don't know, some monsters, maybe we'll get them soon in some obscure, not Heroclix set. Who knows? I think he could definitely see some play.
All right, Tom, your thoughts?
I think Jane pretty much nailed it. I'm not quite as excited about him as I am about Jacob Marley, but honestly, again, for the points, what more do you want? The only other thing I would mention is that Bizarro Green Arrow is still a noteworthy thing out there in the world, and here's somebody that can stand next to him and heal him back up off his stop clicks, so that he just is that much more annoying to have to get through, and you really are forced to come in close. I mean, you're already kind of forced to come in close, but in a world with whatchamacallit, the Green Arrow chase, then you can blow past the stop clicks on a Green Arrow potentially. But Dr. Frankenstein will just get him right back up on his feet again. So anyway, real good.
I think he's better with the Goblin King than people give him credit for, because his support is free and the Goblin King flies, which means the Goblin King can carry this guy around, get supported for free, and his perplex is there wherever you need it. So don't underestimate him in combination with the Goblin King. You might be a little bit more willing to push with this guy handy next to the Goblin King, but you're not going to get probs out of his support anymore anyway. All right, next up, Frankenstein's monster. It's got the monster keyword. It doesn't have a real name. Is his trait. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6. On a 4 to 6, Frankenstein's monster may immediately make a close attack. His second trait, my creator. Friendly characters with the scientist keyword can use support to target Frankenstein's monster. When a character with the scientist keyword targets Frankenstein's monster with support, his defense value is 14 for that action. If that character is named Dr. Frankenstein, he can use support even if he or Frankenstein's monster are adjacent to an opposing character. There's a lot of qualifiers on it, but it's a really cool, neat little collection of support stuff. He is indomitable. He's got Battle Fury across his dial. What you see is what you get as far as powers and stats, though. He comes in at 60 points, and it looks like he's a chase in this set. Tom, thoughts on Frankenstein's monster?
I think he's quite good. I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record, and I'm afraid, spoiler alert, it's going to continue like this. I'll be talking a lot today about this is really good for the points, but it is. Maybe I'm going to have to reevaluate what I consider to be good for the points. Anyway, I think that for 60 points, he's very solid. I mean, he's not going to be... The one downside, of course, in his case is that he doesn't really have any faster way of getting across the map, and he can't be carried as long as that Battle Fury is there. So he is going to be slogging his own way along. And if you've got a cluster around scientific support pieces to kind of make the most out of him, that might not be the easiest thing to pull off. It's doable, but in some ways, I like him better just as a 60-point assault troop. But your 60 points will go away fairly quickly at that point because that 18 defense is solid, but there's nothing to add to it. So I guess that as I talk it out, he's excellent if he's played kind of just so, and that really does have a Dr. Frankenstein kick in her boot. As a piece for himself, he's solid, but then again, once you hit him once or twice, his numbers have become middling enough that you're not as worried about him. So yeah, he's definitely decent for 60 points, but I think you need to build a team very much for him to make him really sing.
All right, Jay?
Just for information's sake, I had looked it up, and there's 19 figures in the set, so he should be a chase unless something has changed. As far as the actual dial, between Goblin King being 75 and still pretty awesome, his own stats being perfectly fine, Dr. Frankenstein, and Bizarro Green Arrow all existing, I feel like you could get a decent little team.
Monster Squad, even?
A squad of monsters.
Even
1980s movie reference. I think it's 80s, maybe 90s.
Yeah, 90,
Late 70s.
165. You only get 215 with Bizarro Green Arrow. Throw Venompool on there. You have a decent little limited team with 5 points left over for Boxing Ring or something. I don't know. Taking Dr. Frankenstein's awesomeness into account, the amount of healing you can do, and the +2 perplex, I think this guy could actually do some cool stuff. Especially considering that Ultra Heavies are going away. So his being under 100 with Super Strength doesn't matter anymore. I do like him a lot. I feel like there's something going on here to capitalize on. Probably, almost definitely with Dr. Frankenstein, but we'll see.
He looks really cool, too.
Yeah.
Brief side note. I like them.
Yeah, he does look pretty cool.
They all look good in this set.
And Jay's mention of super strength made me remember that Jacob Marley can pick up a light object.
Oh, true. Yeah.
New light object rules, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing said here that I have to add, or nothing that wasn't said here that I have to add. So we leave the monsters behind. By the way, Monster Squad was 1987.
Ah, perfect. Good movie.
And we move to the Thor, Mighty Thor set, and we start with Korg. I don't know why we start with Korg. This is not in chronological order at this point.
Yeah, the Cronin Stone Man with the stupid-looking sculpt. One of the worst sculpts I've ever seen, but I love Korg, so I'll take it.
I do. In the defense of this figure, before we go too deep into it, this is more based on Korg's and his race's first appearance in the Mighty Thor comics. It's a Thor set, after all. So this is less based on Warbound Korg and more based on like 1960s terrible art Korg.
On the other hand, he also has significant appearance, Incredible Hulk number 93 from 2006 of the Warbound keyword.
Yeah,
so I agree. So, visually, he looks like the original appearance.
Yeah, visually it looks like that, and then they're trying to argue with me here. Yeah. So it's like a mixture of both. Either way, you get the Warbound Soldier and Warrior keywords. We Are the Warbound is his first trait. When Korg has 0 or 1 action tokens, and an adjacent friendly character named Hulk would be given an action token, you may roll a d6. On a 5 to 6, give the action token to Korg instead. Then he's got the Cronin Warrior trait. Korg can reduce penetrating damage. Other than that, what you see is what you get on Dial. Jay, your thoughts on Korg?
I like the little Hulk sub-theme we're getting with the set, and that we're getting more World Breaker stuff, which is kind of an explanation now for why he wasn't actually called World Breaker. Not quite competitive, at least as far as I see right now, unfortunately. Especially given his cost. But you never know in the future. Maybe we'll have a Hulk who's really important and you want to keep taking tokens off of. You never know.
All right. Tom?
Yeah, he's one of the ones I'm not so impressed with. I have many problems. One significant one being that he just doesn't feel much like Korg to me. The short dial that can reduce penetrating damage doesn't seem nearly as Korg-like to me as a deeper dial with perhaps some weaker defenses. The idea that you just have to keep chipping away at him and chipping at him away and chipping away at him feels more Korgish to me. The fact that his a 10 attack is not terrible, but it's not exemplary. It never goes up, it never goes down. 3 damage, very consistent. For 75 points, I would have just expected an extra click of life or 2, or something, some kind of better move and attack up front, or maybe Indomitable, just about anything else. As it is, he feels underwhelming to me. And we haven't seen any other Warbound yet, so I don't want to jump the gun. But if the We Are the Warbound trait is always this specific wording trait, I also feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. The Warbound weren't just about like rah go Hulk. They were about supporting each other. That was the point. They all supported each other. So making the trait specifically around supporting Hulk, as much as I love Hulk, I'm not complaining about that aspect of it, but it still feels a little bit disingenuous to the spirit of the comic. But now I sound nerdier than usual, and that's on a Heroclix podcast, so that's saying something. So anyway, I'm underwhelmed.
Well, to kind of pile on what you were saying there, the Warbound kind of kindred spirited with another member of the Warbound. So with any luck, we'll get maybe we'll get a Brood that does something with Meek, and I don't know,
Hero him with Sierra maybe or something.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes of this, but I'm not going to hold out too much hope because it's a Thor set. I don't think we're actually going to. I mean, have we confirmed that there's a Warbound sub-theme in this set somehow, or is this the only figure we've seen of it?
So it's a figure we've seen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
This lends itself more to a Thor theme in general than the trait. I am not muted. I mean,
shut up, you.
The trait is what it is, but is it indicative of a sub-theme of the set? Or is it because, we've got a Warbound from one set and a Warbound from another set, right? It's hard to say. So
it definitely looks like a common trait kind of thing that we've been getting more recently. So I could see more in this set, maybe in the later set. Like they made the symbiote trait. They keep on doing it. You never know. Yeah. So who knows?
So I'm not going to hold my breath just yet about a full sub-theme in the set, but it would be nice to see. And I'm going to add on that this reduced penetrating damage thing never pans out the way you think it's going to.
Yeah.
Years of disappointment in Luke Cage's is
yeah, especially as we enter into the realm of outwit is everywhere. I mean, maybe a little outwit protection would have gone a little ways too, but
absolutely
we didn't get it.
All right, next up, let's talk with a little bit more executioner.
Scourge!
Scourge. He is Asgardian, Masters of Evil, and Warrior. Keyword. Scourge is his real name, as I'm sure Tom will let you know.
Scourge. This set is really the set for me. Perhaps even more so than Incredible Hulk. I love the Hulk set as much, but I really like Thor comics. I realized as I keep seeing previews, and I'm like, I love that character. This is very much my kind of thing.
Well, I do notice as well, Thor and Hulk do end up with a lot of crossover for villains
yes.
at times. Anyway, Executioner is got the first trait, Wielder of the Blood Axe. Executioner starts the game with the Blood Axe equipped. We'll get into that in a second. Yes, I do have it chimed up. Next up, I stand by Amora, no matter what. Unique modifier, if Executioner is adjacent to a character named the Enchantress, modify both modify defense by +1. And then it's what you see is what you get on dial with Indomitable, and the Master of Evil team ability comes in at 120 points. And I believe it's Tom's turn to start again, isn't it?
Do you want to talk about Blood Axe first?
Oh, sure. We'll bring up Blood Axe just to add on to what his power set is. Blood Axe is indestructible. Equip any, unequipped drop. And it's got Battle Fury, Exploit Weakness, and Steal Energy for an effect. It comes in at 10 points. So Battle Fury, Exploit Weakness, Steal Energy on top of what you see here.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm back to broken record, Tom, because I think he's real good. I mean, at 120 points, that's a species meatball, even with all the benefits of the Blood Axe on top of him. First of all, I adore the fact that they gave him the yo-yo dial, for lack of a better term. It starts high, it goes down a bit, and then it comes back up. That's a nice little nod to Hammer of Thor, which is what I associate that with. Almost all of the Asgardians had that in Hammer of Thor, and even some of the bad guys did. And Executioner was conspicuous in his absence from that set, so I'm glad to see that they put Pluto in for some reason. We should replace him with Executioner. They even look similar. Anyway, the point being, I think Executioner it's nice that they finally corrected the wrong of not including him in the set with his beloved. And I just think he's real neat. The Enchantress extra is kind of cool. I'll be very excited if they ever just accidentally create the character and call her Amora, and that doesn't work with this. Boo. We'll wait for that to happen before we complain about it. And other than that, it's a very Hammer of Thor dial, pure reducers and just aggressive movement powers, charging and flurrying. The Steel Energy is going to be a bit of a mixed blessing on him. It's a good thing to have, but it might get him back to some weaker clicks depending upon how down the dial you are. Yeah. Might make him a little bit easier to finish off. Who knows? But Exploit Battle Fury is a darn good combination. And anyway, I feel like I'm rambling. At 120 points, I think that he's well worth it. We've seen some real good 120 pointers, so I don't think he's exemplary, but he's very solid, and he makes me excited for Hammer of Thor, which is one of the first sets that I really, really got into heavily. So.
All right, Jake.
I've also been waiting for this guy for quite a while. I'm very, very happy to see him, especially with the Prime slot. Hopefully, we see the Prime be as amazing as Last Stand at the Bridge should be.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's somebody else, in which case I'll be a little sad. But, looks like more like a casual figure, which is perfectly fine for me. Really, my only complaint about the figure is that since we've gotten optional traits, it seems weird that the second trait wouldn't be optional. You know, just in case you want to play him without Enchantress, which is a possibility. I mean, it's in sealed maybe, or just in general. I just feel like paying those points for that when you might not actually want to play the two together seems a bit weird when we have a game mechanic that allows you to more customize your characters.
Yeah, that would be cool.
The Blood Axe is fantastic, though. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
I think one of the strong aspects to Blood Axe that adds to him is the fact that he's also got the Masters of Evil team ability, so you don't mind the constant pushing, because once you're done pushing, you've been healing. So it's all good in the hood. True. After that.
That's fair.
In the end, I think this guy in combinations that everybody said with the Blood Axe is really neato. I'm starting to see Carl Urban more and more when I look at Executioner. Is it Carl Urban or Keith Urban? I can never remember. Keith Urban's a country singer, right?
Yes, Keith Urban is the singer. Carl Urban is the actor.
All right, cool. Because he's the guy who's playing Executioner in Ragnarok. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
Oh man, another thing to get excited for. Oh,
yeah. I think that's why you and me are a little bit more Thor happy these days, because it gives us more Hulk.
That's true.
All right. To follow up the Executioner, we have Odin the Destroyer. This is Odin in the Destroyer armor. He's got Asgardian armor and ruler keywords. He is the prime of what's going to be the rare Odin. What's going to be the rare Destroyer? This is like the Destroyer with Odin's head taped on top, as far as models are concerned. So he's got a trait, Teach You Humility one way or another. Once per turn, when the opposing character attacks one or more characters of a higher point value, you may re-roll the attack roll. Okay. Next, he's got Incalculable Might, power action. So, sorry, power is the new wording, but that's power action. If Odin the Destroyer has one action token, give him any 2 actions at no cost.
Multi-attack.
Yeah, multi-attack. Which I think they're just getting rid of as a power and just going to go back to this.
That's nice.
And it's 2 powers at no cost, which is not a free action kind of thing. Weird. But then he's got Survive Universal Armageddon as a special defense power in his first 3 clicks. Impervious, but succeeds on a 3 to 6.
Crazy.
He has special damage power on the first 4 clicks of his lower point dial. The Skyfathers face the Celestials. He's got Colossal. When Odin Destroyer attacks a character that has Colossal or is 200 points or more, modify attack and damage by +2. He is a giant. He is power cosmic. Jay, he's also got 4 range. Jay, what do you think of Odin the Destroyer?
He is unfortunately a figure I'm sad to talk about on this show because we are a competitive show, and because of the environment around him, he is unfortunately not as opposed to hot in this environment. But then again, competitive sealed is more a thing these days, so he'll be relevant there. Theoretically, he would be the figure in fall. No, wait, fall will be sealed. If there's competitive seal with the set, he's relevant. It is worth noting I double-checked the way they did at no cost, and apparently he can pulse wave twice, if that is a thing that you want to do with him. He'll be very, very fun and casual. Although it'll be good to try and enable him to not get penetrated through, because that would be very sad if you have your character that has Impervious on almost any result, and then he just gets hit for 3 penetrating. Yep. He does look very fun. I personally do want him, but I do not ever anticipate seeing him in the competitive scene, though, sadly.
Tom?
I just want to get Paris Solomon to always give a hot rating on everything that we get through. I agree with Jay. I think he pretty much covered it. In fact, I don't even think he looks like that much fun, if I'm being honest. He looks like a great big thing that either works or it doesn't. And it's a lot like the very Colossals that he's designed to fight against in that respect. But he doesn't really make me excited. That Impervious that works on a 3 through 6 is just nuts. But as Jay points out, that's 1 Psychic Blast away from who cares. So at least he got a whip protection. And at his lower point line, it's cool that he becomes super Colossal fighter, but I kind of miss the fact he doesn't have that to start off with. I mean, why wouldn't he? He's there to fight Celestials. They're still a fair jag above 230 points. He's a big old brick, but I don't see much use of that brick.
To quote a movie both me and Tom very much enjoy, not my tempo.
Yeah,
not
fair.
my tempo.
It's a good movie.
All right, next up, we bring it.
One last thing. I got really sad just now because Zeus at full points is 280. He's 230. They're just, it's just too many points not to work. That made me really sad.
That's fair. Well, just play him at his lower points.
This one has me and Tom super excited.
Oh my God.
Carnage.
And J2, I'm sure. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Oh my God.
Carnage with the maximum carnage and monster keywords. Cletus Cassidy is his real name. He's got a trait, Planet of the Symbiotes. Oddly enough, the series that Colossal Carnage is from.
Yes, and one of the worst series ever. Did you read it? Like, it was so bad.
It was just so dark. Like, everything was so dark, and then the whole thing culminated with Make Carnage Tired. It was intense, but uninterestingly intense.
And they were all like they were the giant-sized editions, so they were more expensive. So this is back when we were buying comics individually, and we were paying out the nose. And eventually, I was like, "What am I paying for? This series is just awful."
Yeah, I mean, and I only got the last issue of it, so like, so I read none of the previous parts of it. And all I got was, Carnage is huge. Carnage is massive. This is intense. He's beating the crap out of everybody. And they made him tired. And okay, they beat him. Okay, well, that's it. All right.
Yeah. I'll lend you the rest if you're looking for
you know what?
An amnesiac. Or
the love that I had for that small amount of what I read is enough for me.
Yeah,
I was able to enjoy that small amount.
All right, let's talk about this beast.
All right. Planet of the Symbiotes. During first construction, you may add 10 points to Carnage's cost up to 5 times. For each time you choose to do so, add a symbiote bystander to your starting force. We're going to get to those in a second because it's on the next tab. Then the next trait, them symbiotes sure is tasty. It comes with plasticity. At the beginning of your turn, Carnage may KO one adjacent symbiote bystander to heal 2 clicks. He can't heal past this game's starting line. Thanks for letting us know on that one. Of course, you got Colossal Indifference on the last click there. Stop, Toughness. If you start on a 10-point line, can't attack smaller characters. Then he's got a Colossal Retaliation. Along with the short of it, no other Colossal Retaliation has been activated this turn. It's also free as a note. Choose an opposing character that attack Carnage or damage a friendly character since your last turn. Place Carnage such that he can make a close combat targeting the chosen character. Then do so. After resolutions, you may generate a symbiote bystander adjacent to the chosen character. So unlike other ones, he doesn't do some kind of big area of effect attack when he retaliates. He drops a bystander down in front of people. Note as well, it's not limited to the last click on the retaliation. He has it on the first 2 clicks of all starting lines on this dial. Just a note. Then we get to the next thing where we see his powers and the symbiote dial itself, or the symbiote bystander, which is 6 movement with plasticity, 11 attack with blades, 16 defense with super senses, 2 damage with shape change. He makes these. Tom, what do you think of Carnage?
He's the best thing ever. Nope, that's all I have to say. He's the best thing I've ever seen at every cost. I don't care how much he costs. He's worth it and 10 times beyond. I want Carnage more than I've ever wanted anything in this game. That may be a bit of an exaggeration, but I am the king of hyperbole, and I can't wait to either get a Carnage or to spend the next 3 years skipping out on Heroclix so I don't have to face them and be reminded of the things I don't have.
With any luck, Tom, all 3 of the super boosters I get will have a Carnage. You can borrow one of them.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm down with that. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it, like, how many times have we had 10 points left over?
Like, it's just insane, and it's like one of the best retaliations ever for 10. Oh my god, I don't want to get into it. We'll be here all night. He's unbelievable.
Jay?
Remember how I was just talking about monster theme teams? Like just a few minutes ago.
I think you found those missing 10 points for it, you say?
But again, the beauty of it is it's not just 10. Like, at every point line, he's worth it.
Yeah. He's absolutely worth it. He like, okay, real talk, his defenses don't hold up very much, very often.
True.
But that's okay because he's got fat dial syndrome. You know what I mean? Oh,
yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 clicks at 100 points with a stop click. Go on.
Sorry, Jay. Go on.
My only problem with him is that he may as well not even have that first trait because I don't see why I would want to play one of them for 20, making it easier to score when I can just play 2 at 10 and get the same result. Even 3 at 10, who knows?
Yeah, I think design-wise, the intent.
Although there's been some discussion.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I think the design intent is that you're not using it with the 10-point version. Like they're thinking, you're not going to do this with a 10-point version. Do it with something like the 100-point version or something. Just
I might still do it with a 10-point version if I don't have a billion Carnages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard some talk about whether or not Better Suited will let you use the 60-point version, keep the pogs, and still switch them out for another 60-point character. If you can do that, I would pay 60 points for him. But as is, I'd probably want to play 2 or 3, and that would be prohibitively expensive. Excuse me. Unfortunately, today's preview has not let me say that he is the best Heroclix piece of all time currently in Modern. But when he was previewed, one of the best Heroclix pieces that we have right now, and also the absolute best Retaliator, the day he was previewed, not today. More on that later.
More on that in a couple seconds. But yeah, no, I love this guy, and he fits into a lot of the teams I have been building as a tweak. So I am looking forward to attempting to use him in a build in modified form. Just the addition of those symbiotes means you can move 3 squares away. If you don't kill the guy because you need adjacent squares in order to do it, you drop that symbiote next to the guy. So he's got no choice but to deal with the symbiote now. And given the new turn order, there's none of this, sidestep away or whatnot. If a Jakeem picks poison is what he's stuck using. Right? That means I've taken poison out of Jakeem Thunder's repertoire, which means he has no easy way to deal with the Carnage, which means he has to force an attack into it now. So there's just a number of things that I look at and I go, this is so good. And even better is because it's a free action, I just walk away. You know what I mean? Just walk away, let the symbiote attack, do its thing. I love this character so much. And a lot of people who like really big hammers are going to like the next one. Magog.
Ugh.
Meta or super competitive play, as that's in a 300-point realm. That said, the 400-point dial could see play as we get into this. First, we get the trait, pull the Odin sword. Sorry, the version that we had to work off of, not the best of quality. So bear with us as we try to deal with this. Once per game, if Magog completely occupies an opponent's starting area and hasn't been moved or placed by another friendly character this game, that's an important element because there's all kinds of tricks you can try to use, but he's got to do it himself. Turn his dial to his next starting line higher than his current starting line, and that becomes his new starting line and point value. And he's got a special attack power, which he has on his 400-point dial, which you could see if you played the 150-point version and got him up there with Psychic Blast and a range value of 8. He's got his Colossal Indifference. Impervious is what it's called. It's his stop click. It's impervious, and he's got the Colossal Indifference. He can't attack smaller characters except through Colossal Retaliation. Then he's got his Colossal Retaliation, multi-powered tail.
Come on.
Free. Blah, 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 blah. Place him, blah, blah, blah. Place him that he can make a close combat attack targeting the chosen character and all other opposing characters within 3 squares and line of fire, then do so. Hit characters are each dealt 4 damage instead of normal damage. After resolutions, make a close combat attack targeting each opposing character within 2 squares and line of fire. Hit characters are each dealt 3 damage instead of normal damage. On a Colossal Retaliation, if you're targeting a single target somehow with both attacks, you're dealing 7 damage. Don't make me do the math on more than 1. Oh my gosh. Jay, you get the lead on Mr. Magog. What do you think of this masked terror?
I'm convinced he's an April Fool's joke in the summer. I literally don't believe that this is what I'm seeing. I literally don't. I don't even want to talk about this figure. So I can see the future, and his trait is going to get errated to placed period because the interaction with Colossal Retaliation is just absurd. Where either you get to do it and go in your opponent's starting area basically for free, and then turn into a 150-point character from a 30-point character, or this scares your opponent so much that they move out, and then that enables you to hit your opponent with some sort of awesome alpha strike, the likes of which are very easy in this game thanks to Jean Grey or any other number of nonsense things. And that's not even including how powerful his retaliation is, especially considering that under new rules, he just causes knockback with it. So, yeah, on the right map, the math of all the damage plus potential knockback damage is just dumb. So let's see. What does he turn into? He turns into a super strength brick with 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 9 clicks, including the stop? Once he does all that, yeah, Banhammer is going to happen, or I guess Nerf Hammer is going to happen so quick on this guy. I'm not even going to bother getting him upon release because wow. And also just realize he has sidestep on top of the retaliation. So even if he doesn't start off with the retaliation in the starting area, he can easily sidestep, giving you either a very decent swing of your opponent not moving far out of their starting area, or that same swing forces them to move far out to not get hit for 7, and then allowing him to turn into the 150-point monster. Yeah. Oh, and on top of all that, Power Cosmic, so you can't even outwit his retaliation. I'm so scared of this guy. I'm really not looking forward to his release. My God.
Tom?
What can I say after that tirade? The only thing I would add is that not only is everything that Jay just said patently correct, but at 150 points, he's no slouch either, since it's very possible that he can just wander across the field, and if your opponent can't put up enough damage fast enough, all he needs to do is keep Colossal pushing, crank up those values, and probably knock him on a sidestep eventually to get there, and then he'll be healing all the way up past his top line, all the way up to 400 points of madness. And at 150 points, it's hard to do anything about that. Like, at least at 30 points, your opponents can, devote their entire team to try to take him out, as much as that's ridiculous. But at 150 points, they may not even succeed in time. All he needs to do is get across the board, and he's got Colossal Stamina and sidestep for most of the time. It's insanity. And a stop click. And that if he hits that stop click and is still alive in time to power action himself up to 400, he can, again, Colossal Stamina, power action himself up. Yeah, he'll get knocked onto his second click after the 400-point dial after action is resolved. What do you know? It's exactly the same as the first one. He's a beast.
Well, worth noting, it's you go up to the next starting line higher than his current starting line. Does that mean his current starting line? I don't know. I'm not going to.
His current starting line is the line at which he started the game. Yeah. I don't think he has to be on it.
I'm just wondering if you cross the starting line, does your new starting line become blah, 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 blah. I don't know if they're going to change that. There's another thing I want to point out, even beyond the fact of upgrading him and whatnot. There's something important about his Colossal Retaliation that's massively different from every other Colossal Retaliation. Anybody else catch that? Each opposing character.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, he doesn't hurt your friendlies.
So you can go in there with a big swarm of close combat attacks. He can attack you back, and guess what? Your Magog is going to do damage to nothing but his own stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot to mention that, but you're right. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh! And I want to. His stop click, his defense power that gives him impervious on it, means the only way you're getting him off of that is one of the options that we usually use, which is Pulse Wave to get rid of these things, is not an option. You have to use Psychic Blast. You have to use Precision Strike. You have to get past a 19 defense on a 30-point character.
Yeah, no, it's insanity.
I want some of these drugs that they're on for this figure.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. It'll be a miracle if this makes it past the ban hammer. Well, not the ban hammer, but the errata hammer.
Yeah. I mean, okay. All of that craziness aside, he is killable, he is manageable, but he does definitely he's 30 points to force way more points upon him if you do want to deal with him. It is a weird thought when it comes down to it. Like that is one of the most insane Colossal Retaliators made to date.
So is Mystics more a liability than a positive thing with this guy existing, since that can trigger retaliation and there's nothing you can do about it?
Well, but if it triggers retaliation and he hits the retaliation, you've killed him.
Yeah, true.
So he'll trigger the first one.
Mystic.
He's dead after the first one, so you can't get the second attack on. Might be worth it.
I meant attacking your opponent's Mystic to trigger retaliation.
Right, but then the idea is if the retaliation succeeds, he would take Mystics himself and die.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
Although,
in a way, if he fails the retaliation, then that's the best of both worlds.
It's like, oh darn, I miss. It's like a get a Maridroid where you don't even count on it. It's
Yeah.
like, I really hope I actually don't hit this one because I am so close to your starting area right now.
yeah. The other thing, I mean, there's also ways around it. So like, you could Peggy turn off Mystics before the retaliation. Like there are ways around it.
Yeah, but they're very
I feel
specific.
like, yeah, it's very specific. But Mystics won't stop him. But yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
Nothing will stop him until we errata him.
I am fully willing to call in a green arrow to deal with him.
Oh yeah, but that's what he's forcing you to do, which
Yeah.
is 30 points well spent as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, exactly. Because the other thing too is that green arrow is going to be a lot harder to get rid of under the new rules because of how carry is going to change in its wording. Carry no longer takes the character off the board during it. You move the character and then you place the character. So you've got to get out of that range. You got to get out of that movement in order to make it work the way you want it to.
Right.
So yeah, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, too good. Too good. They're on
good.
drugs.
Before we move into our next topic, I do want to take a second to talk about our Patreon, patreon.com/MadeWithClicks. And one of the perks that we've just recently added is our Discord server. If you are a Patreon member of our Patreon, that makes you a patron. You get access to our patron-only Discord server where we have conversations every so often about the game. This Thursday, I'm planning something called the Lightning Round. I'm going to put rules for it on our patron wall so you can catch it, how it works. Generally, it's going to be a series of quick yes/no questions. We're not going to record or anything. It's just going to be for the patrons. It's a little special treat for them. Again, I'm going to put up the rules for that. But if you want to join in on the Discord server, which is actually where our next topic came from, one of the members of our Patreon, Mr. Drew Warren, posited this idea for the show. Check us out at patreon.com/MadeWithClicks. Any valuation gets you access to the Discord server, $1, and it also gets you access to our patron hangout, which we had this past Friday. We're still working on the dates for September. September is a very crazy month for myself. So it's probably going to be a little bit later, like fourth week of September for the next patron hangout. But $5 a month gets you early access to recorded content, which we're back on flow with. And $10 or more gets you access to our patron-only action tokens, Heroclix action tokens, which we've sent out our July, May, and June ones. At the end of this month, we're going to order the July and August ones. We're going to get the July and August ones out to those patrons who are part of that program. Whew, that said, let's talk about the question Mr. Drew Warren presented with us, and he wanted us to share. We've been playing this game for a while, guys, and we've been on this channel for a while. We've shared some really intense games, but he wanted to know what our favorite game that we've played, be it an intense game, be it a crazy game, be it the what the heck happened game, the deciding game that made you go, oh my goodness, whatever your favorite game that you played, favorite competitive game of Heroclix you've ever played in your life, or even non-competitive, if you had a favorite game that was really super casual, he wants us to share that. And I'm going to let the storyteller, Mr. Tom Kerr, share his first.
Well, boy, was it tricky. Because I didn't actually bother to think about how many games of Heroclix I might have played over time, but the number is very large. And I doubt that it's even as large as the other two guys on this channel, given how I often tend to black out my availability. So I really didn't know where to go with this, because there's any number of different things that can make for a great game. A great game of Heroclix could be, it almost certainly is something where in my opinion, a lot of the best games of Heroclix are ones where you're fairly evenly matched against your opponent, whether you're both playing joke teams, whether you're both playing competitive teams, but where you both have a fighting chance in the game. I think that's a good starting point for a great match. Playing against an opponent that's enjoyable to play against and challenging to play against. I enjoy a challenge. I really find the competitive element of Heroclix the most engaging part about the game, and so I would say that although I've had lots of games where I had lots of laughs and it was lots of fun, I would say that the competitive element does mean the most to me if I'm trying to define my very best game or my very favorite game. And then, there are X factors, like things that are associated with special events. If it's associated with a big event, if it's associated with a notable milestone in your own Heroclix career, these are all things that could contribute to it. Or maybe it's just, you have a really special memory of something. Maybe it's your first match at a store. I don't know. I'm rambling. But I'm rambling in part because I just had no way of anything I tried to shortlist wound up knocking something else off. So in the end, if I had to define a single favorite match, I don't know, it might be a controversial pick if I'm being honest, because I don't know if it's the favorite match of everybody who's on the channel. But I think I'm going to go with my match against Jason at Rock Worlds last year. Now
I don't know when we were in the top 32?
Yep.
Yeah, you took mine.
Was it? Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, I was afraid maybe because, of course, this was the thing. A little bit of story, or do you want to take that and I can choose something else? Because I had a long.
No, you go ahead, man. You go ahead.
All right. So this was we were in Rock Worlds. Jason and I, of course, had both flown down for it, and we'd both managed to get our way into the last day without having to qualify for it. So he was focusing on commentating the other days, and I was playing in Team Worlds with Jay and Kevin DeFruz and having general good times. And we both made it through Swiss. We were both playing Devil Dinosaur or Jean Grey based teams. With everything else past that was different, but that was the root of the team. And we both made it into top 32. And the first match in top 32 at Rock Worlds 2016 was Jason versus me. With our two, we traveled all the way down here to be there. And of course, the thing that makes it bittersweet is that it did mean that one of us was going to have to knock the other one out. And so that is the given of that particular thing. But there's something to be said for, we both obviously had done pretty well on the day. Making it to the top 32 in Rock Worlds for the first time that both of us have been there really was nothing to be the least bit ashamed of for either one of us. So it wasn't as if knocking the other person out meant that we're ruining their trip. It actually was it wound up ensuring that you got home.
Yeah, it meant I got to go home.
Yeah, I remember you were being sensitive to, because had you not made top 32, your bags were packed, you were ready to hit the airport. So in the end, it was Jason against me, and I had a rockin' day of dice rolling as far as my map rolls were concerned. Jason won map. We both had teams that worked best on an open map, and Jason decided not to take one. And the story goes that he wanted to make it a game of Heroclix, and that's what it was. And I mean, I think that to a certain extent, both of our teams favored an open map. I think your team may have been slightly better on a more enclosed map, and I think my team might have been slightly better on the wide open map. I think that had it been a wide open map, I might have had a slight advantage that you were able to neutralize by going on to the WizKid's office. And from there, it was just a really intense match. But there was, like, in a way, the fact that one of us was going to knock the other person out didn't create a negative play experience. We just both played the best game we possibly could. It was a nail biter of a game, and it was extremely close all the way through. With two very similar teams, with two guys, at a similar place in their Heroclix career, success-wise, and just sort of productivity and wise. And it was just a really, really good, engaging game. There was nobody's dice just took a complete dump on the board. Alternately, nobody's dice were rolling like they were made of solid gold with sixes on every side. It was a very back and forth, very organic match. It was as close to what the ideal game of Heroclix should be as I've ever been in. And to do that at the big mecca of Heroclix that is Rock Worlds against my close friend and podcast mate here, Jason, was just a very special game for me. So I think stands out the most of a myriad of games that stand out as great games.
Yeah, and it was kind of a seesaw match, because what's worth noting is I was getting a lot of hits on Tom. I was doing a lot of damage. You know what that meant? Tom got to click power number 3 on the dial a lot faster than I did. I was really close. But my call-in rolls weren't as good as some of Tom's. But yeah, it was like, as Tom described it, it was superhero chess, which is what we all describe Heroclix as: superhero chess with some dice rolling, and that's what we played. We played superhero chess and played to the best of our ability. Did what we could with what we had. Tried to make one heck of a game out of it, and it was one heck of a game. It wasn't an absolute trouncing. It was It was probably one of the best games it was by far one of the best games of Heroclix I had played. And I'm glad, Tom, that you share the sentiment on that one, because we've had many barn burners and many great games in different in the forums of Heroclix. And I've had my ups, you've had your ups. In fact, in one tournament, I had an up and then you had an up. Yeah. It was just timing. The timing had been different on either of those ups. It's the difference between the Canada Cup champion.
Yeah, we were both there at the end of Swiss, and both there at the end of the tournament. So
right. So in the end, it's great to have two of us agree that. And the two of us that were in that game agree that was the best game of Heroclix that we've ever played.
Yeah, that wasn't collusion. We both came up with that independently.
Yeah, I just told him this is what we're going to be asking. That's it. I didn't tell him what game I was picking. He didn't tell me. We were all going to come on the show, and I all of a sudden went, well, Tom damn well picked that game, didn't he?
Oh, that's special.
I'm more
happy.
happy.
Pick another one so you have a story to go with.
Oh, no, honestly, I mean, it's such a great story, and, getting both sides where I was looking at it like, this is going to be it. Because as Tom said, we were having similar years, but the problem with that similar year is that where I was having the best year of my of Heroclix so far, Tom was having the best year, and his best year was a little better than mine at all, like every stop in the way. So it was that point where it's like, Tom is stop being that little bit ahead of me every time. So coming from my end, it's like I gotta put a stop to this. I've got to get the one up on top. I really got to catch my flight though too. Don't get too busy. Oh man, I'm gonna need this rock money if I win.
Yeah, exactly. You have to change your flight. You immediately pay off your winnings.
Oh, man. It's like, Howard, can I get that money now? No, I need it now.
No, I need to get home.
Flight.
Do you have room and board or rock money?
Oh yeah, but honestly, I did the best I could. I used walking through walls with one of my Ultrons to the best of its effect. I pulled out all the stops on my team. Tom pulled out all the stops he had on his team. We just back and forth. It's so hardcore, so insanely that I can't look back on that game and not say it was one of the best games of Heroclix I've played, because it was as close to a mirror match without being a mirror match as it could possibly get.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And yeah, it wasn't a mirror match. There was just enough difference for it to be meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, me and Tom have schmoozed about the same game for a little bit. Jay, hopefully you've got a different choice, unless you've decided that our game is your favorite.
Were you watching our game, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were
in the top 32. Yeah.
I thought you might have been. That's hilarious. Let's try fact. No, what is your favorite game?
I'm trying. I guess I have one with each of you. Jason being the one we played at Quebec Provincials.
Oh, that was tight.
That was so tight.
I've never forgiven the Green Arrow for that. I took his arm off. It's a joke.
Tom, pretty much every game we played, Tom. Like I was thinking of the one from Nationals that one year, but I was also thinking of the more recent one at that Winnamap that was very close, and the Quebec one, which was also kind of weirdly close-ish. A lot of weird stuff happened in that game.
You don't get much closer than 5 points, so it was close on paper.
Wait, did it end up being 5 points there?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh my god.
280 to 275.
Unbelievable. I forgot about that part of it. I feel like the one, I guess, to go back far enough time that it's not only relevant because of the freshness, I guess, U.S. Cup top 4 against Kevin Fruz.
Nice.
That one was also so close. It was just one of those chess matches back and forth. I did a call in, he killed it. He did a call in to do that. I killed his call in, back and forth. That last action, needing the 6 to win by I think a very low amount of points if I was able to pull it off. Just so back and forth, especially notable because that one involved the Quinjet doing an attack while also only having the 2 targets to do so because of the pilot ability. So not even an ability that the piece normally had. Normally would never come up in a game. Just so many close ones. It's just so hard to pick any one.
It came down to a dice roll in that game against Kevin too. I'll roll.
Exactly. Pretty much any game against Mike also. More recently, I guess not this year's coming Canada Cup, which is in the future, which I'm not even playing at, but the Canada Cup last year, I think Swiss day 1, where I thought I was winning, and it turned out I wasn't.
Oh, I remember that.
I remember because at Provincials that year, I had somehow beaten his Lokis with a Quinjet team that couldn't have anything really see his Lokis. I don't know how I won that game. And I thought I was going to manage to pull a second one, but he had KO'd my Red Wing or something. And it turned I was running away because I thought I was ahead on points, but it turned out he was actually winning.
Run away.
I never found out if he actually knew what was happening there, if he was playing me or not. So many good games against so many of you guys, but it's
Indeed
a competitive Heroclix career so far.
Now, to just mention, we do enjoy games we play not with each other.
Oh yeah,
I've had many great opponents. Like I can remember a couple memorable games I've had with Chris Stockhouse, one of our super fans. I've had 2 memorable games.
Yeah.
One where he yelled at me for my dice, not just for my dice, but for me calling my dice. But then another one where he did to me what I had done to Tom later that day in that same tournament in the Rock World Cup, where he put us in the office map where we were forced to play a game of Heroclix. And that's actually part of why I made the decision against Tom, where it's like, I can play a good game in this map, and I can survive in this map fairly well. Let's see what Tom can do in this map. And all things considered, I had a good game against Tom. It's just Click 3 showed up a little sooner. What can you do, right?
And you're right. Like there are so many. One of the reasons that I chose the one against Jason at Rock Worlds is just it was that perfect combination of all the special elements. But there were there have been so many games, and certainly not just with each other. One of the things that my favorite memories isn't so much the single game, but it was the Rock Michigan Regional, where I was playing another Devil Dinosaur Jean Grey team. And over the course of that tournament, I had a chance to face all 3 of Nick, Tim, and Derek, all 3 of Team Failboat, who were all also playing Devil Dinosaurs shortly after Devil Dinosaur had come out. And there was so much Devil Dinosaur love at that particular tournament. And also, the way it went down, I mean, I won against Nick. I won all 3 matches because I did win that tournament, but my victory over Nick was a close one, but it was fairly secure. I barely beat Tim. I just got by the skin of my teeth in that match. And then against Derek had every right to win the match, and eventually at the last moment, my entire team became invincible, and my terrible rolls with the teleporter up until that point in the game saved me because I never hit Click 3. That was the one where I got ahead on points, and I needed that invincible to stay alive while he barraged me with terrible dice and attacks. And that was one where you guys were all standing around looking at it happening, laughing at it because it was ridiculous, and Derek had every right to win. And then I won the game, and Derek was bummed out because he wanted to get the qualification, but I had already pre-qualified for the last day from the Canada Cup, so he got it anyway. So he's like, oh, great.
Well, come in anyway. All right, cool.
We all got what we wanted, and we all went away. That was another one, but I don't know. We could talk all night about good memories.
I think that was the most. Yeah. I think that was the most stressful game to watch because everything was down to like one dice roll. Every single roll mattered.
Yeah.
Like, I remember you managed to KO his real boy Nick Fury, needing an 8 and bypassing the shape change roll with like a MODOK or something.
Yep, a Rockabilly MODOK.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, crazy. I think my favorite memory of that was borrowing Tom's keys and accidentally taking them with me to dinner. So we had to rush back, unfortunately, because Jason's an idiot. So we ended up having takeout instead of sitting in a restaurant and enjoying our food. Not that it would have mattered because Tom would have taken forever to get to the restaurant as it was. Because when we got there, I think that game it was barely halfway through. So
yep, and it went to the last second.
Yeah,
of the game.
So that was a funny story. Yeah, overall it's such a great game, so great to travel, so good to take a second to reminisce about how many good times we've had in this. Because, I mean, right around the corner, let's look at the timeline we have right now. Right around the corner is the Canada Cup, and that's September 16th. So we're looking at about, what do we got? Let's pull up the calendar here. So after this week, we got like 4 more episodes before the episode after those 4. The 5th episode from here is where we're going to be talking about that results. And then after that, the weekend of October 13th to the 15th is the Rock World Cup. So we're back in full swing of tournament season. I'm currently sitting in the semifinal qualification. I would prefer to get into the finals because it has been requested by Mr. Howard Brock that myself and Amber are in charge of the commentary once again. That means I need to get into the final so that I can maximize the potential commentary coming from myself. So, guys, if you have extra rock points, let me know, because if I don't win the Canada Cup, I'm going to need them. Boy, am I going to need them. Yeah, with all that, it's so great to think about what we've had, think about what we got coming up. I'm really pumped for the Rock World Cup. I know myself and Amber are going to be there. We're going to be buying our plane tickets on Friday because the money has been moved around as we need. Having a little bit of a quick conversation with my wife behind the scenes.
I should buy my ticket. That's a good point.
Yeah. And yeah, so thank you, Drew, for letting us take a trip down memory lane. And once again, it's not just us that enjoy playing with each other, guys. We do enjoy playing with the rest of the Heroclix community. So with that in mind, the Heroclix community in mind, that is, let's move to questions from our fans. We're going to start with our Facebook, and then we're going to jump into chat. If you're live in the chat right now, put in capital letters question in front of it so I can catch it in the chat. Chat's not too crazy. It's kind of tempered right now, but not a question so much as a statement. Our friend Emily was nice enough to remind us, you know what's a good way to kill a Magog? A shredder.
That's true. Yeah, that's a fair point.
If you got a retaliating Magog, you got a shredder that you can deal with it. As far as a non-retaliating 150-point Magog,
yeah. Good luck.
Pulse wave, maybe.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. Pulse wave followed up by a shredder for that stop click.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it though with the questions, which I have open in a window that is not the one with all of our cool pictures from the set previews. So what are you guys thinking of Thor and Undead right now while I'm trying to find all of this?
I don't like the fact that they released on the same day. I mean, that's a big blow to the wallet. And it's funny because if they released 2 or 3 weeks apart, I would not have nearly as much of an issue. Though, if I'm being honest, I know not everyone, like there are those who obviously get paid, they're working a little bit more paycheck to paycheck. I'm going to buy the same amount either way, whether released at the same time or not. But it is a big blow all of a sudden. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Other than that, though, I'm really excited for both sets.
On the plus side, because of the countertop display, there's that trickle regularity that you can get, like pay a couple bucks, grab a pack of Undead, see what you get. And because so many of them are generics, and this is a set judges are going to love because so many judges, I don't understand the mentality of it because I just don't want to do something like this, but they love their zombie scenarios, man. Yeah. Boy, do judges love their zombie scenarios.
Well, it's a popular thing, and it's nice to see a bit of horror in Heroclix.
Yeah. Jay, what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, in relation to the release schedule, it just seems a bit weird to be releasing it now as opposed to a more Halloween time. Although, with this set and Thor coming out on the same day, I think it's basically going to end up being this set's Undead sets for a while, but more impulse buying the closer we get to Halloween. So it should sell well no matter what. But initially, I don't know how that's going to affect the reception of the sales as far as WizKids goes. But stores we get lots more Undead.
Stores that use countertop displays right now are very low. I know a lot of store owners and are big fans of keeping too many of them. And what they're going to run into the situation is like, I'm going to get a couple. Where did they all go?
Yeah, no, I agree. It might be a hard set to get a hold of because it's going to be way more popular than your average CTT.
All right.
So Thor looks amazing so far as to answer the other part of the question, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
All right. Questions are back. Found them. And we're going to start with Eric Wadsworth in chronological order on this one. What is your biggest fear for the game and the community with the upcoming rules changes? I think my biggest fear for it, and this is probably irrational, but it's a fear I have anyway, is some people are going to be thinking in their heads it's too much change, and it's really not as much change as we think it is. Some things are more effective. Some things are less effective. But overall, the big brunt of it is wording and timing changes. Nothing game-breaking, nothing major. It's not going to make the game unplayable. It's just going to make it. It's going to be a quick stutter step. We're going to stumble a little bit. We're going to try to figure it out. And there's another thing before we get into the deepness of this. WizKids announced a Design Insight article today talking about the new rules. The new rules are officially being released on the WizKids website August 21st. Please make sure your servers are ready for that, guys. And because of this August 21st is when they're going to release a rulebook. When Mighty Thor comes out, those rules are official. Now, on top of that, they have to skim through and demolish the current rules for them, and they say it's going to take them approximately 30 days to get the rules questions that they want out. What does that mean? That means judges are on a lot of pressure to carefully read, carefully understand, and make their best judgments on a lot of rulings. Be patient with judges on this, guys. Don't lose your minds if you think your judge made after the fact when you found out your judge made an incorrect ruling. They have only the written materials in front of them. Now, there shouldn't be a great deal of issues because the written materials are going to be in front of them. We're going to have them, and they're fairly simple. But be patient with any misrulings for the next little bit as they go from taking all of these rules from the past and moving forward. And I don't want anybody to start quitting the game because they're getting angry at judge rulings. So you got to be patient with the judges for a little bit. Nobody's infallible. There's going to be some mistakes made. It costs you a game. It costs you a game. Remember that important word is game. So, but in the long and short of it, I think that like my biggest fear again is overreaction to the change, because a lot of people, when they've been playing a game for a long time, they get a little curmudgeonly and it's like, oh, this is so new. It's so much change. I just don't understand it anymore. Just take a couple seconds to read it. It's all going to be there. We're getting a full-blown rule book. This isn't a minor change. This is a full change, but they're making everything available to us. So this isn't a matter of, oh my gosh, I can't get a rule book because I can't get the Mighty Thor starter because a lot of people are going to be buying it. It's going to be, let's get these rules that are available to us, read through them, and understand them carefully, I think is what we are going to be ready for. I've rambled. Tom, what do you think?
I think you kind of your tangential point touched on the only thing I would be concerned about, which is just an initial period in which judges are going to be a bit unsupported, and I think a lot of people are going to feel, there'll be a lot of belly aching about rulings when there's not the rulings to fall back on aren't fully out yet. So I just think that it'll be a harsh transitionary period for judges. And as Jason said, I mean, don't be that guy that makes it hard for your judge. That's all we can hope, is that people will be well-mannered and good to people, and hopefully ease that transition. But that's my only real, if you want to call it, fear. My biggest, misgiving about the rules change is that it's going to make a hard time for the people who are already working hard with comparatively little benefit.
All right, Jay?
I'm worried as a judge, more that I get rulings wrong than anything else. Although I feel like, considering that everybody's going to be basically on equal footing, it's going to be, I hope that people are more forgiving, considering that this is somewhat of an overhaul to the point where even just some of the basics of mechanics of turns of this game are very different. Like how the question will be asked of, why can't I TK, call in an ID card character at the beginning of the turn, sidestep poison, outwit, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fairly dramatic change, but in some ways it's not. So hopefully everybody's on the same level as far as adapting goes, and we give each other the benefit of the doubt, and we give each other the time and patience of learning the new rules, and we also do so for judges, and the judges do so for their players too, because this game is already complicated enough. People have been playing it for 15, 10, 5, whatever years. Relearning it is going to be harder potentially for the older players than the new ones. So, yeah.
All right. So those are our fears going into the new rules. Hopefully we can all adapt. We've all been through all of this. It'll be fine, everybody. Don't worry about it. This isn't the first major rules overhaul we've had. We had a major overhaul when the Fantastic Four starter came out many moons ago. Although that did,
with the pink powers were introduced, that was another. There were a bunch of other updates and changes made at that point. So
so let's just be ready to adapt. The game's not going to change as much as we think. The only thing that's changing, I think the biggest change is the beginning of the turn. That's one of the biggest changes we have to adapt to. All right. Next up, Thomas Kusterin, and this is a nice, good, funny question. The Tick Heroclix, good idea or best idea? Best idea.
Yeah, I'm all into it. Especially if they give us chases from the Patrick Warburton ridiculous little live action series from the late '90s or whatever that was.
Yeah.
I have that DVD. I still watch it semi-regularly.
So funny. I love the one where they're trying to teach the tick about sex. It's like,
Yeah.
so a man meets a woman, and then like you get the idea. There's a time lapse. It's like, okay, so you get it? No.
Yeah. So if nothing else, then at least that episode guaranteed you a lot of Batman Well, which
Exactly.
is one of the greatest characters in the history of television.
Jay?
I think my question can be answered in the form of one word, and I'm sad that I don't have said object with me. And the answer to the question... Spoon!
Oh, man. I think we're all Tick fans. And I got to say, one of the most memorable Tick moments from the cartoon, he's being interviewed in that black room interview that they do. And they're asking to Tick his powers. Like, do you have eye beams? No. Are you, can you fly? No. Do you have the power to destroy the world? Egads, I hope not. That's right. Keep all my stuff. And on that note, Dan Durrett, with Colossal Carnage having a unique retaliation ability and having set ability on all Star Clicks, can we expect similar ideas to appear in other Colossals such as Groot? Well, I can tell you it's not happening on Magog, and thank God.
I don't quite follow. So what was the?
So you know how the Carnage has a Colossal retaliation on all of its starting.
As in,
clicks on
will
all
we see
starting
others that do that?
Will
Okay.
we see others that do that? Not Magog, thank God. Maybe. Who knows?
I wouldn't. Who knows? But I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Yeah, Jay.
So what was the question?
Are we going to have the retaliation? Do you think we're going to have the retaliation ability on other starting clicks like the Carnage?
I mean, we've kind of seen that before. Like we had Stiltman who had it on every click. So it's not an alien concept. I think there was another one. I can't remember who it was. Oh, Warwheel has it traded.
Yeah.
As Tom should know.
Yes, that's true. You're right. Yeah.
Used.
That's true. He was mostly a taxi.
Ever used it. Yeah. So it's probably gonna be more of a it happens rather than a pattern, as we saw with Magog today. So anticipate it in the future, but don't expect it on every single iteration of a Retaliator.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Stephen Clark Jr. actually has 3 questions here, so we're going to try to lightning round through them.
All right.
We know who the 8 Colossals are going to be. Or of the 8, we know we're getting 8 Colossals, and we roughly know about 6 of them. And let's just rough through it: Ms. Marvel, Colossal Carnage, Groot, Magog, and I think we're getting 2 different Frost Giants of some sorts. If Jay, you're usually on top of these things.
Surtur, I think, is one of them, isn't he?
Surtur,
yeah,
yes,
Ymir,
and Surtur.
Okay.
Frost Giant. Yeah, I think there's one unknown character.
Okay, so there's one unknown. Let's pause it what that last one is.
Oh. Jormungir, the Midgard Serpent.
That's what I was going to go with. I mean, we recently had the Serpent. Is that no? But that's not that.
A completely
serpent.
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Jormungir. That's a good call. I'd actually go on that one too. Jay, any disagreements on that?
Colossal Odin was a consideration before we saw the Prime. Maybe Seth.
Yeah. How about Fenris Wolf? Was finish at the Queen of Loki.
That would be huge.
Yeah, a massive wolf. I'd be all into it.
Massive wolf. I'd be. Dude, there'd be so many people, the kinds of people wearing wolf shirts, like, dude, check out the wolf. I want that wolf statue that you get for a reasonable price instead of $100 like it usually costs them.
That's right.
All right. Who do you think the 8 chases will be? Well, we already know a Thunderstrike, so I'm thinking alternative versions of people who were Thor but weren't Thor. So
are there that many?
Like something like Beta Ray Bill maybe might be a chase.
Yeah, other people who had
similar hammers but not quite.
Yeah, exactly. Or have had similar objects. Like it wouldn't surprise me too much if we got maybe some of the Mighty again, even another Skirn.
Mm-hmm.
Or Scotty.
It's weird that we already got Captain America with it twice in the What If set, because that would have been a good candidate for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh heck, maybe Groot Thor is one of the chases. Because we know there is going to be a Groot Thor.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we're going to get a bunch of Thor core characters to go with some of these guys.
That'd be cool.
I don't like the idea of a champion chase. Please don't let that happen. Oh, God. They're hard enough to get already.
So, yeah, something along those lines. Next up, do you think WizKids needs to say to define whether or not Magog's trait works as 30-point line? What do you think? I think that on the 30-point line, it should not be there. I agree with that.
Sorry, what is it?
Do you think that, roughly, if you were to fix Magog already,
right.
do you think the 30-point dial should be allowed that upgrade trait? And, I mean, right now the rules say yes. Should they? There's ways to outplay it. Let's just say that. There's ways to get around it.
Yeah, to take the extreme view, I can't imagine how you deal with the 400-point version. If indeed they rule it that you'll go up to the starting line of the higher one as compared to where you started. So the only thing I would say is if they were going to errata it, I would say errata it that you basically heal to a starting line, and if you're on a starting line, heal to the one previous. So that wouldn't do anything about the Colossal Retaliation version, but honestly, the Colossal Retaliation version, as epic as it is not my biggest concern, since it does just mean you got to deal with it, or at least you got to deal around Colossal Retaliation and stuff. And everyone's kind of expecting some of that these days, so no one should be surprised by it. But my bigger concern is the higher point guys, especially 400. It's not that they balance the game really for above 300, but that's wildly unbalanced at 400 if it can just go to the 700-point dial as long as it gets there. It's almost guaranteed to get there.
Yeah. Jay?
I'm okay with him having that trait at the lower point line if it gets changed to how I said, which is he can't place, period.
Right, okay.
If you want to move your 30-point piece all the way across, that's okay. But just the interaction between retaliation and that is just too crazy.
All right. Next up. It's official, guys. It's an episode. Put a stamp on it.
Hooray!
And we mentioned earlier, Mr. Chris Stockhouse has a question.
He's a fine gentleman, too.
You know what? When I finally get better equipped, better quality program and whatnot to work with on this, I'm going to make him a theme song. All right. I'm so confused about Magog. This is worse than Spiral level stupidity. My only real question this week is why would they make him? Can we talk to Howard about using one of his champion figures to remake the old Elsa Bloodstone? I really don't understand who thought this was okay. I really hope there's some Colossal deterrent coming out, or I will look only forward to Rock Limited events. This is stupid. But we all know it's going to be great to hit your opponent across the map for an absurd damage before transforming to a 150-point piece in every game. Take care, mates.
Yep, I agree.
I was going to say, we've all kind of had this conversation. He's just joining in at this point, right?
Hey, we're into it.
All right. Next up, Mike Bockley. Hey there, Metagame. I'm not going to be able to watch the episode live tonight because I'm going to watch the Batman and Harley Quinn at the theater. So instead of a normal Clixed question, how about something different? What are your top DC animated films? My favorites are Batman Under the Hood, Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. Looking forward to hearing your answers on the YouTube video. Also, I gave Adam Cole a gift to give you guys when he visits in September. Keep on rocking. Peace. Well, I'm not really looking forward to what Adam Cole is going to be sending me or going to be handing me. Make sure but you're handing it to him to hand to me. All right. I'm just worried about that middleman. The King of the North is a little bit more Lannister than you think. But as far as my favorite DC animated movies, I really liked their take on Flashpoint. It was really cool. I also liked Wonder Woman being a badass and just killing Mira, just like, done with her, whatever. Mm-hmm. It was the Crisis on the one where they fought
Earth.
Crisis on Two Earths. Yeah, dude, the fight between Wonder Woman and Superwoman looked like an actual Greco-Roman wrestling match at one point. It was so well animated. It was one of the coolest things ever. So yeah, those are my two favorites. Tom?
I must admit, I'm not really into the animated movies so much. So I've seen two of them, and you already mentioned Flashpoint. So I'm going to say my favorite was Mask of the Phantasm.
That is a very good Batman movie, and
It is very good, but it's
amazing.
It's also a funny answer because at this point it may be 25 years old or something like it.
Oh, don't say that. Shh. We're not old, Tom. We're not old.
maybe 20 years old, but it's old anyway.
It is pretty old.
It's good, but it's old. And I got this is not a good question for me. Jay, what do you think?
That movie's probably older than I am.
Maybe.
I guess I'll say the part of the Killing Joke that was actually adapted from the Killing Joke was really good.
Heard about that.
Although basically a panel to screen remake, but still, I mean, I got to see Mark Hamill voice act those awesome Joker lines. I guess I will also. I guess I'll say also Crisis on Two Earths because great voice acting in that one. In general, and a lot of funny stuff. Like Lex Luthor showing up completely naked in Earth 1.
Oh, that was James Wood as Owlman was really good too.
James Woods is always good, unless that was James Wood. You said it's James Woods, right?
James Woods. Sorry.
Yeah, it is Woods.
I guess the S might have got
AKA
cut
the
off
actor
by
that made
Canadian
he made the Disney Hercules worth watching too.
It was a great movie. What are you talking about? All right. Next up, Christopher Smotherman. Been a while. Oh, sorry.
I figured it was a typo.
Yeah. All right. Christopher Smotherman, would you like to see WizKids or a third party produce a player's manual, complete with pictures, strategies, combos, and things to allow someone to buy a starter set or two, and a player manual, and never need to look at the internet or go to a venue or anything, more akin to buying a copy of Monopoly and bringing it home for a family game night? That Ninja Turtle set is great for that. It's got multiple scenarios, and you can also play Heroclix with it. It's not a very good game of Heroclix you can play, but you can play a game of Heroclix with it. So yeah, I mean, they've tried that, and we all crapped on it because they put crappy characters in there. So if they were to do it, don't do what they did with the Ninja Turtles thing. Put characters that are playable in the game of Heroclix in there so that we don't poop all over it, and you guys have a decent opinion coming out of us. And that's what I would say. But, I mean, they first try. Cool. Like the idea. Let's just never talk about those dials ever again. Tom?
Yeah. It's a bit of a hard sell for me, I'll admit. Since I do think that so much of the game does kind of come about organically, it's not a terrible idea to have something that you can kind of bring home and have a better layout. But I can only imagine that most people who would really benefit from it would outgrow it fairly quickly. And I don't know that the rule book and the starting figures as they are that much of a deterrent at the moment to anyone who really is interested in the game. So I don't know. I think it will be a hard sell. But I like the concept. I just am not fully sold on it. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Sorry, and also to add on, you can make something like a Justice League strategy game that's not a terrible board game too.
Yeah, the Batman game was okay. It wasn't
Batman
great.
game was great. Justice League strategy game took me 8 hours just to pop the cardboard out of it. I started reading the rules, and I was like, I hate this game already.
Yeah.
But I'm very picky about my board games. There's got to be a level of simplicity to it. Like, you're allowed to – a game can be complex without complex mechanics.
You're not a Twilight Imperium 3 kind of guy?
No. I can spend – I got tons of board games upstairs, and some of them I can spend hours playing all of them and get multiple board games in a night. That's kind of my preference. Or I can spend all night playing Shadows over Camelot. That's not like the mechanics of that game are very simplistic.
Yeah,
the flow of the game is complex, and it's a very difficult game.
Yeah.
What's another one? Pandemic, something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, very good game.
Yeah. Jay, sorry.
It's a good idea in theory, although I feel like, yeah, this game, you really need to learn by just a lot of play. I don't feel like there's a quick and easy way of learning all the intricacies of, I mean, just any one part of this game, just building a good force is one whole thing, and as is, actually positioning, and there's just so much to learn. I just feel like you can't really try and learn it that easily. And even if you do make a starter kind of thing like that, you're not going to get all the fine details in to really master it as quickly as you would like. So it's not a bad idea in theory, but it doesn't really particularly interest me if I was trying to teach somebody.
Also, now that we're talking about the idea of teaching players how to play the game, come the release of the starter set, I believe it was, myself and Amber are going to try to teach our daughter how to play Heroclix, and we're actually going to be recording it on a video. So, and we're actually going to go full blown with the rule book and see if our 8-year-old daughter can manage the new rules. So that I could turn around and say, here, anybody complaining, say they've changed rules too much, turn to them and say, my 8-year-old daughter understood it right out of the gates. Or I could say, well, yeah, you're right. We'll see. Call it the grand experiment, as it were. And she loves YouTube stuff. She really wants to be in a video, so I'm really excited for this. Anyway, next up,
that'd be cool.
Michael Fedor, the alpha, as it were, of patrons.
Not to be mistaken for Heroclix Alpha, which was garbage.
Yeah. Batman Alpha was probably one of the worst things ever, and the only thing that came of it was police officers that helped Jake Williams become.
That's true. That was a deep.
Yeah, he dug deep for that one. All right, next he goes, hey guys, welcome back to Monday Night. Is this a permanent thing? You betcha. Did I miss an announcement somewhere? On Facebook. I think I said it. I might not have said it permanently, but I'm saying we're back to Monday. This Sunday thing. Okay, me and Tom are wrestling fans. Sunday night is unacceptable.
Yeah, that becomes a problem with all of these pay-per-views.
Especially this coming Sunday.
Yes.
Anyway, but yeah, we didn't make an official announcement. We're back to Mondays. Mondays where we belong. I've got my life back together with my current job. I'm able to kind of meter myself and get myself out of work on time in order to meet the deadline to get here. It's going to be a little bit trickier tomorrow. I'm probably going to go in a little earlier because I do have a recording with Mr. Edward Sheldon for The Quarry. I'm not sure when that's going to release. That's recorded and then released later, but I'm really excited about that. Anyway, back to Heroclix. I plan on not buying a Mighty Thor brick, only sleeves in sealed. Is it a better choice for me, or will there be more value in a brick? Well, here's one of the things you're going to feel. If you're a regular brick buyer, you're going to take a bit of a hit on this set. It's going to be notable if you regularly get a certain amount out of things, because you're going to be losing approximately 10 characters or 10 figures per brick, because 2 of those packs that you usually get in a brick are going to be now a super booster. So instead of the usual 10 packs in a super booster, you're going to get 8 packs and the super booster. Now, this isn't necessarily a problem because you're guaranteed a Colossal and a brick. And these, so far, so good on these Colossals, right? Two out of 2, they've shown us. 2 out of 2, nobody's got a complaint about, right? Mm-hmm. Where buying individual packs will be felt becomes a luck game. Now, depending on where you buy your individual packs, et cetera, you'll be getting from different bricks sometimes every time you pull 2 packs. Now, that could lead to a hot streak where it's like, I just bought 2 packs, I got 2 super rares. I got 2 packs over here, I got a super rare and a chase. But it could also lead to a cold streak. I got nothing but rare, and it depends on how highly you value the super rares. I got 2 rares in these 2 packs. I got 2 rares in these 2 packs, and you might get down on it. So it does depend fully on your enjoyment of the figures themselves. Now, Tom's going to be against me, but he also borrows everything from me. So
I'm not going to be against you. What would make you say that?
I was taking a dig at you before I gave it to you.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
But Tom is not as often a bricker case buyer, so he's probably going to tell you the story from the other pastures.
No, that's not true. I am usually a case buyer. I just stop there. So, I mean, the reason why I borrow so much is that I rarely get more than about half the super rares and almost never any of the chases, because I pretty much buy a case, and other than sealed games, that's it. I don't do a lot of random buying now and again, but like I kind of got over that. For the last year or so, I've pretty much got a case. If there's anything I absolutely must have that I didn't pull, then I'll order it online, but very rarely. And more often than not, I do have to borrow things, because when you only get half the super rares, that leaves you an awful lot of stuff that usually is pretty good. So, yeah, that's the reason I'm such a borrower. I think that for me, in terms of the question of should you buy a brick or should you just pull randomly, well, it's a gamble. To me, it depends a little bit more on whether you value the assurance of a wider variety of pieces versus the possibility of more rarer ones. Because if you want to take that gamble, then go ahead and buy your packs individually and go ahead and take that gamble, and you will perhaps be able to get away with a few more SRs, or maybe a chase or two that you otherwise wouldn't get if you get real lucky. But your CUR will be a lot spottier, and you'll have to fill that in all likelihood, than the reliability of getting a brick. That's about all I really have to say about it. It's a gamble. So, like anything else that's a gamble, if you are feeling lucky, then proceed.
All right, Jay?
I am very much against blind pack buying in general. So I am very much not in favor of that plan ever. Especially because with the Super Booster set, it can make the rarity a little weirder. If I recall correctly, generally makes individual packs probably less likely to have stuff. So, I mean, then again, we are waiting on seeing any bricks or any significant amount of product open. So it's really hard to say before actually knowing distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But as a general rule, I don't like buying a pack and getting a rare, and then buying another 2 packs and getting rares. So,
He is what they call in the business a pessimist.
I'm a big fan. I do enjoy sealed play for Heroclix, and going into one of my I usually do this over October, and I'm going to kind of say it a little early. Is one of my goals going into next year is to somehow build an interest again in sealed on a more regular basis in this game. And I'm really hoping somebody on the mountain is listening to me because balancing the sets those ways could go a long way towards interest in that. Heroclix design-wise is one of the most difficult games to build for sealed. And this is a long story. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to save it for when we talk about that. But sealed. I do enjoy buying packs for sealed play. I do buy a case usually for a set. Plus, we do get the wonderful donation that we get from sponsorship. Sorry, not donation. Sponsorship that we get from WizKids. And that goes a long way towards building up my collection very quickly. With that said, I usually get all that and don't buy a lot of packs after the fact, but would really enjoy getting more and more packs. I'd be more enticed to get more packs if sealed was more enticing to players in a more regular vein. I don't know how WizKids can do it on the level that Magic has it, where I know players who don't own a great deal of cards and strictly play draft and sealed, or own strictly the casual deck game that I play with people and strictly play draft and sealed to collect those cards. I would love to know how they do that, and would love to find how they can get that in WizKids. And the biggest part of it, I'm not blind to it, is the game mechanics themselves. So beyond that, that's kind of my long-winded add-on to the question, as it were. Unless anybody else has anything else to add on, we'll go into the chat room now.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, David Colon, he has a question. If you could choose between, and also he had a question earlier, but I think we've discussed Magog to death, and we will discuss Magog.
Oh yeah, he'll come back.
We're not done with this guy, and he's not going to be done with us anytime soon. Trust me.
We'll be talking about the errata soon.
All right, but he does ask, if you had to choose, would you choose a Jakeem team or a Pog generating team?
Pog generating.
Thank you.
Thank
you for answering for me, Tom.
Oh no, it's both of us. I just don't care for Jakeem teams, so that's an easy answer for me.
Ever since I discovered the idea of figures who create figures in this game, I have been in love with the idea, and I'm so happy it's competitive right now. Oh boy, am I happy it's competitive.
Jay?
Pogs.
Yeah.
I'm sick of Jakeem.
Yeah. You may do better with a Jakeem team. It's hard to say if we were saying purely competitive, but there's too many variables. It's too general a question to speak specifically. As a general rule of thumb, I think power generating teams are more fun.
Yeah. Why can the Magog be promoted from retaliation to 150? Yeah, he can. Luke Scheffenecker. Why are theme teams so good, and what theme should you play? Theme teams tend to be a trap sometimes. Theme teams aren't bad. and I think I've said this 1,000 times. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to repeat myself anyway. Theme teams can be a trap if the team fundamentals work better without the theme than they do with the theme. Skip the theme. But a theme bonus can go a long way if you need a certain number of things. But a certain number of the theme bonuses are non-guarantees. For instance, the bonus to a map roll, unless you get 12 characters on your team, and that's probably not a great team, by the way, you're not really getting much out of it, right? Like, okay, I might get the map roll, but there's still a chance you lose the map roll. I won map roll against a +3 theme team. Tom had a +5 and lost twice to a +3 theme team. There's no guarantees with the theme team bonus. Plus, there's the probability controls, but then they're limited and add action tokens, and there's a certain number of issues with it. So, okay, Avengers is the easiest theme team to build because
I would, or perhaps Mystical.
Or Mystical, yeah. Avengers for name theme to get the maximum theme bonuses. Mystical because, my gosh, they've already got everything.
Past is still really good. It's getting better. Yeah. It keeps getting good.
All are good. Just also note, don't let your team necessarily suffer when building a team. If you don't need the theme, don't use the theme. But if you can make the theme work and it works to your goal, like Tom did with his scientist team or his past team, great. Make sure your fundamentals work with what you're building. That's what I'm thinking. Tom?
I agree. I think that one of the most underrated elements of Heroclix, or at least the one that is occasionally not spoken of with as much importance as it might be outside the realm of the really highly skilled players, is map, and how important it is to know your terrain well and to be able to know how well your team works with terrain. So it is no small thing to get a bonus to map roll. But I agree with Jason. It's not. You have to make sure your team actually works well in a theme setting. It has to play towards those skills, and it has to be better than the non-themed option that's just over a little bit stage right. And I find that often, for me, the difference between those two things is the map roll. I often will design teams that are optimized for certain maps, and when I do, I want to get them themed with as many characters as I can. But I mean, that's your answer is why are theme teams so awesome, and I think more than anything else, it's because they help you choose your battlefield. Simple answer.
Okay. Okay.
He's muted.
Unmute, Jim.
Hi. Yeah. So as far
We're
as
professionals, we swear.
Counterpoint to the whole theme team thing, you also shouldn't be running a team that relies on map roll. Like, you shouldn't be playing a team that crumbles in the face of a map, because probability is a thing and can screw with the best of us. But to put it succinctly, build a theme if it works, but don't do it if it doesn't. Like, if it happens to, hooray, but otherwise, no.
Yeah.
As far as actual suggestions go, I think Sinister Syndicate by far is going to be the thing post rules change. Unfortunately.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tricky.
It's going to be mean. Couldn't help it. Couldn't help it.
It's all good.
Couldn't help it.
Do what you got to do.
Oh, and for those asking, Master of the Phantasm is 24 years old.
God damn.
Still older than me.
We're old. That came out. How old were we? We were 10.
It's a good film, though. I mean, if you have for any of our younger listeners or Jay, go ahead and check it out, because it is really. If you haven't seen it, it is really good.
Yeah. All right. Last question for the evening. William McMillan, have you guys played any intriguing or fun builds lately? For example, my store is doing a 500-point modern build, but all the characters have to have a printed range of 0. I passed. Tom, have you come across any interesting scenarios? Because honestly, in the past little bit, I've not been able to do local, so it's been sealed or competitive for me lately.
Agreed. It's pretty much all competitive for me. That's the only time I seem to be able to get away from work these days. Hopefully that will change soon. So it's hard for me to say. I haven't seen anything really cool lately. But Jay, what about you? You play more than we do.
It's funny because the 401 judge, at least on Thursday, Glenn, keeps on making really cool scenarios, but it just happens to be that I can't make them. Like last week, he did a thing based on the Parasite episode of Rick and Morty.
Whew, that's specific.
Yeah, it's very and he made one for a couple weeks from now called Siege. So I haven't gotten a chance to play them, but there have been some interesting scenarios in the area.
Yeah, he's a smart guy in that way. He's good at looking at the mechanics of the game and figuring out how you can kind of play variations on them for the fun of all.
Yeah.
Smart dude.
I've seen a lot of good ideas come up from a lot of really great judges. And if you're a new aspiring judge, I can't stress this enough. Don't jump in too quickly with massive, complicated scenario-based kinds of things. KISS is a very, very good rule to follow as a judge when you're creating your own scenarios. Keep it simple, stupid. Because honestly, I want to come in, I want to show up, and I want to play a game of Heroclix, 3 games of Heroclix even, and go home. Sometimes people make things that have long-lasting implications, and if you're going to do that, you got to do it on a certain level where it's not something I have to think about outside of the game. You know what I mean? So I know there's a lot of people out there who prefer scenario play, who come from a D&D background. You got to keep it. One of the appeals of this game, in comparison to all other miniature games, is the simplicity. For all its complications that we have in this game, it's because we play this game for so much and so long that certain things do complicate it, especially when we want to maximize the strategies. But for the most part, Heroclix is a relatively simple game. And it adds its own complexities when a judge takes a scenario and overcomplicates it. I get a little frustrated and I skip the scenarios. So just one of those things, So like the one that you mentioned there where it's, no characters can have 0 range. A really good judge will say, okay, all characters have battle fury. It's a good alternative. But then, also you got to run into the shape change kind of scenarios. It's because battle fury is a good power now. So
yeah, I'm hopefully looking forward to hearing and seeing some good Heroclix space scenarios or just horror scenarios in general once we actually get that set out.
Yeah, I'll be down
like
with
you
that.
mentioned with the zombies and whatnot. Hopefully, there we have some judges in the Heroclix world who have played Heroclix and can help to translate that awesome experience from what I've heard into Heroclix.
Yeah, go
ahead.
I was gonna say just toss down some bystander tokens.
Yeah, toss down some bystander tokens. You're halfway there. God's honest truth. You just have to take away. I mean, charge and running shot will exist either way, but because they did kind of exist in the game anyway. There's some characters like this character's automatically bloodied. What?
Yeah, I think there are better ways of blooding any. I think that there are better ways that you could do the blooded effect anyway. And frankly, I think you could do the blooded effect that was something more specific within themes and stuff. If they did Heroclix tomorrow, then I'll bet you that they would have the wisdom to say the blooded effect for everybody with vampire keyword or whatever is like this, and the one for werewolves is this, and
and if you're a rescue person, you get a different thing as well.
It would kind of. There are lots of cool things you could do with that, I think.
Yeah, it was. I did love the game, and I'm sad I got rid of all my stuff. But me and Amber just didn't have the time to board game it like we wanted to at times, because we were looking to say, let's just play it. We never played a Heroclix game over 300 points because it was so well designed for a 300-point game. And I think the only thing I really didn't like about the game was the plot twists.
I actually didn't even mind those. It's just there were too many of them, and they were too easy to use in a way.
They were also too easy to combo off.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've had a 100-point character in Heroclix all of a sudden halfway down his dial because of a series of plot twists. It was just, oh god.
I kind of wish the plot twists were somewhat randomized. I mean, that's what a plot twist is.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank you very much for our fans for the questions. Thank you guys very much live for watching. Thank you guys in the archives. If you're watching later on, I want to thank our sponsors over at hcrealms.com, your one-stop source for all things Heroclix, guys. I think I say this every week, and I can't stress it enough. It is the place to be when you're looking for Heroclix information. Check out on the front page. They got all kinds of casual and competitive stuff that you can come across. The Clixcast is still running on a regular basis. Watch there for the Quarry. Pretty soon you might see my name mentioned in the Quarry. Who knows? Edward does have a big episode being planned for that. Check out the forums. This is where the discussion is happening. This is where people talk about things. This is where you can get your rumors and rumor updates and dial updates for things that are coming up in the future. Use the unit section to track your collection, track your teams, build your teams. It's a very cool, very awesome, very useful tool for any Heroclix player. It is the fundamental tool that we all use is this unit section. It's a great thing. Check out the rock page. Find out when your local rock events are coming up. There's only a few more weeks. Like, it's a matter of a month and a half till Rocktober. You got to get those rock events in if you want to go to Atlanta in Rocktober. You want to find out some more stuff about Rocktober, click that Rock World Cup tab. Look at that. October 13th through the 15th is when the event is. It's being held at the DoubleTree in Atlanta. There's the address. It's free to get into the building, and then there's all kinds of events that you pay for as you go. There's a cool picture from some of last year's event. All the event schedule is there. One of the great things is everything important is run in the evenings now. Thank goodness, because I do like to drink when I'm down there. Or sort of in the late afternoon. It's 3 o'clock for the semifinals on the Saturday. But it is not 9 a.m. 9 a.m. is when the fun stuff, the battle royales, etc. happen. Sunday at 10 a.m. is when the final start. That's the only one that's really big on the early start. But, you know, everything starts on Friday. I'll be down on the Thursday. I might arrange a hangout for anybody who's going to be down there early. We'll talk about that with these guys later on. Anyway, while you're also here, click on that shop tab. And while you're shopping around, put in the coupon code MARRIED for 10% off of your purchase. We'd also like to thank our long-term sponsor, MajestiCCG.com, the home of the Apex Insiders. MajestiCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. This is the source from the brainchilds of the competitive play. A lot of very good players share their experiences, share their knowledge on this site. $3 a month gets you premium access where you'll get these tournament reports from a bunch of players. This guy named PJ Bowen won in the States in Ohio. Adam Friedman won in Wisconsin. Paris Gordon, who won in Mississippi. Some weirdo named Jason Collins, who won in Quebec. And you also get regular updates from Diego Pinto de Luz with his Clixed of the Week. Jay, on a non-paid paid site on a regular basis, does contribute his fringe clicks figures on a semi-regular basis. I am now semi-regularly writing for the site again. Amber is putting up some rules articles on the site, so it's a really great place to get all sorts of Heroclix information. It's also the first with most rock event results. So check them out again, MajestiCCG.com/Apex-Insiders. All right, guys, it's been a great time hanging out. It's great to have Tom back. Gosh.
Nice to see everybody.
Tormenting him for weeks.
Yeah.
We've missed you. And Nathaniel already wants more chats.
I know it.
But on that, guys, it's great having everybody back. Thank you guys for watching. And always remember, when you're getting ready for Rock World Cup, once you've got those teams built, once we get the new rules coming on the 21st, remember to practice, because practice
makes
your
team
better.
Have a good night, everybody.